Hi there, my name is Rob Gabriele. I'm the home security expert at safehome.org and the managing editor of the site. We've helped over 10 million people in the US protect their homes and live a more secure life. And I'm here today with retired burglary detective Travis Goodreau. Hi, Travis.
Hey Rob, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. Yeah,
Good.
so Travis has served an impressive career in law enforcement, and today we have the privilege of sitting down with him to learn about property crime and burglary in the US and how folks like you can stay safe in your home. So, yeah, let's jump right in. Travis, maybe just let's start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you served in law enforcement and maybe approximately how many burglaries or property crimes were reported to your precinct.
Sure. So my name is Travis Goodreau, like Rob said, and I had a 15-year career in law enforcement here in Southern California. I was a detective for just under 10 years, and I was a burglary auto theft detective for about 8 of those years. My station, we handled somewhere around 3,200, 3,500 cases a year in burglaries and auto thefts. So I have a pretty good experience as far as handling different property crimes and home burglaries.
Great. Yeah, a lot of experience. So tell me, what do burglars look for when they're casing out a property?
Sure. So that's a real common question that we would get. And, burglars are typically, they're looking for the path of least resistance. When they're going into neighborhoods and they're going into homes, they're looking for homes that are not occupied. They want to see that people are not home. They're going to be driving, canvassing the area, looking for, are there cameras to the front of in the driveway? Is there a doorbell camera? Is there one that's up on the porch somewhere facing down to the street? Burglars are driving up and down and they're looking for that stuff. They want to see who's home. If there's no cars in the driveway, that's a real good indicator for someone that would be a home that we targeted. Cameras, any other security signs out on the street, those are also things that they're looking for. They're looking for neighborhood watch signs, things of that nature.
Great. Yeah. So it sounds like there's a lot of telltale signs they're looking for as they're kind of scoping out a neighborhood or, specific houses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the biggest case that you've ever worked on or solved?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say I think one of the biggest cases that I worked on was just a serial burglary case where we had tracked a professional group of burglars that were breaking into homes. Our estimation was that they broke into well over 50 homes in Southern California.
Wow.
And our job was to not only catch them in the act, but then piecing back together the other homes that they had broken into and recovering property from those burglaries all over the area.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how do you catch a burglar? I guess this kind of goes back to your last question. How did you catch that ring, I guess it would be, of burglars?
Yeah, so law enforcement, they've got a lot of tools that are available to us. Now we've got home security videos that are either, outside. They have some home security videos are now in the interior of homes that can help us capture faces, that can see cars, that can get license plates. And then we also have just the citizens that are neighbors that are outside that are kind of the eyes and ears for either that homeowner, that resident, or even for law enforcement. When they see people that are in the neighborhood that maybe they don't belong, maybe they don't recognize them, and they can call the police when they see some suspicious activity. Those are all real helpful things. But to go back to your question specifically, as far as like how do we catch them, a lot of things like vehicle descriptions are huge, because a lot of times these people are driving the same cars or canvassing neighborhoods. They will wake up just how you and we wake up and we go to work every morning. These guys do the same thing. They wake up in the morning and they go and they work these neighborhoods that they're canvassing, and they're looking for homes to break into.
Wow. Yeah. So that was actually one of my questions as well. Like it sounds like, career burglars out there. It's not always these crimes of opportunity, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times when it comes to, there's a lot of different layers to property theft. When you're talking about maybe something is like your car getting broken into, I would say oftentimes those are more crimes of opportunity versus somebody that is a career, someone stealing from a vehicle, versus somebody that is breaking into a home. It's a little bit more calculated. They're a little bit more professional, and they do their due diligence breaking into a home. It's a lot less of a crime of opportunity because there's a lot of other paths of resistance that they need to get through, as far as making sure that people aren't home, finding out if there's any indicators that the home actually is protected by a home security system, things of that nature.
Got it. Okay, great. Yeah. And so how often would you say violence is a part of burglary?
That's a great question. And it's something that a lot of times when I would go to these neighborhood watch meetings, citizens would ask about that. And, myself, I've only investigated in my, 8 years as a detective. I only worked maybe a handful of cases where there was some type of violence that was that a burglar, maybe a home resident came home and interrupted a burglary, and then there was some type of violence or struggle. Nationally, just looking at statistics, and it fluctuates a little bit, but I would say it's somewhere around 7% of times they're saying that a burglary can turn violent, which is, even 7% is too much, but it's fairly rare on the grand scheme of property crimes and residential burglaries.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's great news for the listeners out there. Yeah, and so what would you say homeowners could do to better protect themselves and just kind of feel safer in their homes?
Sure. I've always told residents that home protection, there's so many different layers to it. I don't want to just say that one thing is going to protect your home 100%, but when you use these different tips and they're all compounded together, you're going to give yourself the best chance for success of diverting away a burglar. And the first thing that I would always recommend to people is make your home look occupied. I would say that a large majority of home burglary cases occur during the day, which is maybe a little misconception about, when homes get broken into. A lot of people, I think if you close your eyes, you kind of imagine, somebody climbing through your window late at night. Those cases are so rare. Majority of our cases that are homes getting broken into are during the day. And because a lot of times people are just, they're gone, they're away from work, kids are at school. And so those hours between 9, 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, those are prime hours for burglars to be looking for homes to get broken into. So my first recommendation would be to make your home look occupied, whether that's, leave that second vehicle that would normally be left in the garage, leave it out in the driveway, park it out in front of your home, out on the street. Just make it look like maybe somebody is inside. Leaving lights on, maybe leaving a television on. People always ask about dogs. Dogs are always great deterrents because they're barking. It doesn't matter if it's really a small yapping dog or a big scary German Shepherd. Either way, if you've got a dog that's barking in the window or out in the backyard, that's a great thing.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, in your opinion, this might be a little bit of a controversial question, but should civilians try to protect themselves with a firearm?
Ooh, that is a good question. In my opinion, my first inclination, you would think like, oh, Travis is a ex-law enforcement. He would encourage everybody to go get guns and protect your home, protect your family. I have a lot of thoughts about that. The idea of that is great, but really what firearms comes down to, it's an individual. What is your ability as an individual with a firearm? There's a lot more that goes into it of just like having a gun inside your home. Do you know how to operate this gun? Have you ever shot this gun before? If you take out this gun and you pull the trigger and it goes click instead of bang, do you know how to manipulate that slide, and do you know how to actually fix that malfunction? These are all things that under duress that law enforcement, they train for, and they're proficient with their firearms. Most civilians, aren't proficient in their firearm use. Sure, you can go out to the range, and if you are leaning towards, you're on the fence of should I get a gun or should I not, go out to the range, go fire them. You've got to practice. You've got to learn how to load the gun. You need to be able to be, I guess, efficient with it, yes, but you just also need to feel comfortable with it because, do you have kids inside of your home? That can complicate things of like, where are you going to store this gun? How accessible is it? These are all different like types of questions that you should be asking yourself that I really can't answer for you, but those are all things that you need to maybe take into consideration. Should you be on the fence of getting one or not?
Right. Yeah. That's actually really good advice because I think a lot of people underestimate the idea of like, what it's like owning a firearm. You can't just go out to the store, buy one, keep it in your drawer and expect,
Right.
Expect to be able to defend yourself and your family and your home.
Sure.
So yeah, there are a lot of considerations and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I think of just for myself of, I've got little kids here in the house, and it's not just like in the movies where it's late at night and you hear somebody breaking into a window and you grab your gun that's right next to your nightstand. My 2-year-old goes through my nightstand every day, so it's not like that's something that I could just leave there. That is something that's super accessible. So those are just all little things that are just like real life scenarios that you have to think about and just plan ahead of time for.
Okay, great. Yeah. And then on that same vein of home protection, so with security systems becoming almost the norm these days, do you see that helping at all to combat home burglaries?
Absolutely. I think that having a home security system is paramount to fighting these burglary crimes because it is such a great deterrent. Like I said, just anybody that is going to be driving through a neighborhood and sees cameras that are fixed to your front of your driveway and to your front door, and even in the back, that's a great place to be putting your cameras, or in the back door, because these burglars, what they're going to be doing is they're going to knock on your front door. They're going to see if anybody is home. If they don't get an answer, they're going to go, to the side of the house. They're going to go into your backyard, and they're going to go out to that back patio. And if there's a camera there, that's a great deterrent of somebody that's like thinking, okay, well, these homeowners are now probably getting notifications that there's activity or that there's movement in their backyard, not only in the front yard, but now in their backyard. They're probably looking at me on their phone right now. So that's a great deterrent. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. Excellent. And then so during the course of your career, when you would interview burglars as maybe a part of just the detection process and, booking them and just speaking with them, what kinds of insights would you get from them? Maybe speak to that a bit.
I think that's a great question, because the one answer that it just like really shook me, and I'll never forget this, is when I had somebody tell me that what they were looking for when they were breaking into a home was having any house that had an American flag hanging from the front, that was an indicator to them that they were maybe a patriotic family, and that they were much more inclined to maybe own a firearm inside of their house. And when I heard that, I was like, that rattled me to my core, because I was like, I have never heard that before, and there's probably a lot of truth to that. I don't have any statistics to show you that is true or not true, but it made a lot of sense to me when they told me that. So I'm not telling anybody to take down your American flags, fly them proudly, but just keep in mind that is also something that people could be maybe looking for.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Great. So yeah, that pretty much does it for all my questions. And thanks so much, Travis, for taking the time to talk with me. And I hope that people would take this information and use it to live more safely and securely in their homes. And so hopefully this has been insightful in that regard. And thanks again, Travis, for your time. It's been really nice sitting and talking with you. And
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Until next time. Thanks.
Thank you.